Hello, and welcome back to Richard White Global, where we get into the past to understand the present. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most pivotal and debated amendments to the United States Constitution, the 14th Amendment. Ratified in 1868, in the aftermath of the Civil War, this amendment fundamentally reshaped American citizenship, civil rights, and the balance of power. But its interpretation has been anything but settled, sparking continuous arguments for and against its various clauses. Let's start by understanding its core components. The 14th Amendment is famous for four key clauses: the Citizenship Clause, the Privileges or Immunities Clause, the Due Process Clause, and the Equal Protection Clause. Each of these has a rich history of legal battles and societal impact. First, the arguments for the 14th Amendment. Proponents often highlight its role as a cornerstone of civil rights and equality. The Citizenship Clause, for instance, states that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens. This was a direct response to the Dred Scott decision and ensured that formerly enslaved people were recognized as citizens. Today, it underpins birthright citizenship, a concept fiercely defended by many as essential to American identity and a practical solution to avoid statelessness. Then there's the Equal Protection Clause, which declares that no state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. This clause has been instrumental in dismantling segregation, advancing women's rights, and protecting LGBTQ+ individuals. Landmark cases like Brown v. Board of Education, which ended school segregation, are direct products of this clause. Advocates argue it's a vital tool for ensuring fairness and preventing discrimination, allowing the Constitution to adapt to evolving societal standards of justice. The Due Process Clause is another powerful component, stating that no state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. This clause has been interpreted to incorporate most of the Bill of Rights, making them applicable to the states, not just the federal government. It also protects fundamental rights not explicitly listed in the Constitution, such as the right to privacy. Supporters see this as crucial for safeguarding individual liberties against potential state overreach, ensuring a minimum standard of fairness in legal proceedings and protecting personal autonomy. Now, let's turn to the arguments against certain interpretations or applications of the 14th Amendment. Critics often raise concerns about judicial activism and the expansion of federal power at the expense of states' rights. The Citizenship Clause, particularly birthright citizenship, faces opposition from those who argue it encourages illegal immigration. They contend that the original intent of the clause was primarily to grant citizenship to former slaves and that its application to children of undocumented immigrants was not foreseen or intended by the framers. Some propose amending the Constitution or reinterpreting the clause to require at least one parent to be a legal resident or citizen. Regarding the Equal Protection Clause, critics sometimes argue that its broad interpretation has led to policies like affirmative action, which they believe can result in reverse discrimination or violate the principle of individual merit. They advocate for a colorblind interpretation, where the government should not consider race at all, even to remedy past injustices. Others worry that an expansive view of equal protection can lead to courts legislating from the bench, overriding the democratic process. The Due Process Clause also draws fire, especially concerning its role in protecting unenumerated rights. The most prominent example is Roe v. Wade, which established a woman's right to an abortion based on a right to privacy derived from due process. Opponents argue that such interpretations create rights not explicitly mentioned in the Constitution, leading to judicial overreach and undermining the democratic process. They often advocate for a stricter, originalist interpretation, adhering closely to the text and historical context of the amendment. The Privileges or Immunities Clause, though largely sidelined by the Supreme Court in the late 19th century, is sometimes invoked by scholars. They argue it was intended to be the primary guarantor of civil rights and that its original meaning should be revived. However, its historical ambiguity and the court's early interpretation have made it less impactful than the equal protection and due process clauses. In conclusion, the 14th Amendment remains a vibrant and contentious part of American constitutional law. Its proponents celebrate it as a dynamic instrument for justice, equality, and the protection of fundamental rights, allowing the Constitution to evolve with society. They see its broad interpretations as necessary to address modern challenges and ensure that the promise of liberty and equality extends to all. Conversely, critics often view its expansive interpretations with skepticism, arguing that they can lead to judicial overreach, erode states' rights, and depart from the original intent of the framers. They emphasize the importance of democratic processes and a more restrained judiciary. Understanding these arguments is crucial for anyone seeking to grasp the ongoing debates about American law, civil rights, and the very nature of our constitutional republic. The 14th Amendment is not just a historical document. It's a living text, constantly being reinterpreted and applied, shaping the America we live in today. Thank you for joining me again on Richard White Global. If you found this discussion insightful, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your thoughts on the 14th Amendment in the comments below. Until next time.